The Knicks defeat the Orlando Magic 102-89. They came into the game leading the Summer League standings. They beat Orlando. They're 4-1. They should still be in first place, but remember, folks, it goes by point differential. So there could be several teams that are 3-1, not 4-1. There could be several teams that are 3-1, and then the team with the best point differential will be first, second, third, fourth, etc., etc. So because of that, and because the New York Knicks lost to the Portland Trailblazers, the Knicks will need the Portland Trailblazers to lose tonight so that they can remain in first place. Okay? But as it stands, the New York Knicks have a good chance of being in the Summer League Championship. And I know some people are saying, I don't care. It's just Summer League, blah, 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 blah. I care. I care about winning all the time. I want the Knicks to be in the Summer League Championship. I think it's good for Miles McBride, Quentin Grimes, and Jericho Sims. It is good for those guys, in my opinion, to have to play for something right now. Currently, as we're speaking, there are a number of teams that only have one loss. The Knicks are 3-1. They lead the Summer League, and they have 11.8. They have a positive 11.8 in the point differential category, okay? So they're plus 11.8. The Celtics are 3-1. They're plus 5 in the point differential. The Bulls are 3-1. They're actually negative 1.3 in the point differential, so they could struggle. The Pelicans, they're 2-1. We'll see what happens tonight. They got a 9.7 point differential, a plus 9.7. The Portland Trailblazers are also 2-1. They have a plus 8.3 point differential. The Phoenix Suns are 2-1. The Indiana Pacers are 2-1. The Raptors are 2-1. The Bucks are 2-1. OKC is 2-1. The Nuggets are 2-1. The Jazz are 2-1. So we will see how all of that plays out. But the Knicks did what they needed to do to put themselves in position after the loss to be in the Summer League Finals, ladies and gentlemen. The team that I'm worried about is Portland, though. The Portland Trailblazers are playing the Houston Rockets right now. They are down 17-10. If the Portland Trailblazers lose to the Rockets, I think the Knicks have a really, 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 really good chance of being in that Summer League Championship. Now, of course, if you have some teams that just go crazy and blow somebody out by 30 or 40 points, well, you know, then it could be a little bit tough. So we'll see what happens. Quentin Grimes, Miles McBride, speaking to the press afterwards, said they want to win it. They said they want to take it all. So while some people are looking and saying it doesn't really matter, to these guys, it does matter, ladies and gentlemen. It matters to them. Let's take a look at the box score. All right, Quentin Grimes he didn't lead the charge. Actually, Miles McBride led the charge in scoring. Very efficient from the floor, Miles McBride was 70%, 69 point whatever percent from the floor for Miles McBride. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty good, ladies and gentlemen. It's pretty good. Miles McBride, 23 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 69.2% from the field and 33.3% from the three-point line. Quentin Grimes, and I'm going to tell you what, I saw some things from Quentin Grimes. I didn't see the entire game, but I saw some things from Grimes that I like. His ability to go off the dribble, and it's impressing me. It is, and I can understand why the Utah Jazz are liking this young man. Obviously, the New York Knicks like him, but I understand why the Utah Jazz are saying, we want to put Quentin Grimes in this trade. But we'll talk about that later on. Quentin Grimes, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Didn't shoot too well from the field, 36.8% from the field, but he was 36.4% from 3. Jericho Sims was doing Jericho Sims things. 12 points, 10 rebounds, no blocks, 1 assist, 1 steal, couple of nice moves off the dribble from Jericho Sims. Once again, you're seeing it, and he seems to be getting more and more comfortable with his ability to go off the dribble. actually went off the dribble and kicked it out one time. I think it was in the fourth quarter. Whenever it was. Maybe it wasn't fourth quarter. I don't know when it was. Second quarter, I think. Went off the dribble, kicked it out. It looked good. I don't remember if the person converted it or not, but he's just showing things that he can do out there on the floor. Jan Montero, had 10 points, 2 rebounds. Farron Hunt had 13 points, 3 assists, and 4 rebounds. And we got a sighting from Trevor Keels, ladies and gentlemen. I thought, this might have been the best that he's played. He shot 66.7% from the free throw line, actually. Never mind. I'm mistaken that. I thought that was from the three-point line. He was 0 for 2 from the three-point line. 4 for 11 from the field, 10 points, 4 assists, but I still thought that he played well. He wasn't accurate from the three-point line, but I thought he played well. The Knicks kept a tight rotation, so it's clear to me that they wanted to win this basketball game. From the player standpoint as well as from the coaching standpoint, the New York Knicks wanted to win this game. They wanted to win this game. And they had a hard time putting Orlando away, folks. The Knicks built as much as a 15-point lead, but the Magic continued to come back. They continued to battle, right? They weren't going to just go away, and rightfully so. They're also 2-1, and how much, regardless of what you feel about Summer League Championship, they're out there to win. They're out there to play. They wanted to win it. They wanted to win it, ladies and gentlemen. So they were battling back. The Knicks out-rebounded the Magic 56-44. 21 assists for the Knicks, much better than the previous game. Remember in the previous game, the Knicks, kind of stalled when it came down the stretch and the Portland Trail Blazers picked up their defense. The Knicks really did stall. The ball stopped moving. And you've seen it at times tonight that when the defense got tough, the ball stopped moving. That's not unfamiliar with most NBA teams, though, so I'm not bugging. It's not unfamiliar. That happens. When defenses get tight, it gets a little bit tougher to continue to move that basketball because the defense starts to jam up the cutters and all that kind of stuff. Right, but 21 assists for the Knicks, 23 for the Orlando Magic. Only 6 steals for the Knicks in this game. Right, the Knicks have really been putting the pressure on teams, but Orlando, they did a better job taking care of the basketball than other teams versus the Knicks. 11 steals for the Orlando Magic. Both teams had 3 blocks. 14 turnovers for the Knicks. Only 10 for the Orlando Magic. The Knicks shot 52.6% from the field. The Magic 39.5% from the field. 29.2% from the three-point line for the Knicks. 26.7% from the three-point line for the Orlando Magic. Both teams didn't shoot the ball from the free throw line terribly well. The Knicks 65.2% and the Magic 69.2%. The Knicks won the points in the paint 54-32. The Magic won second chance points 20-19. And the Knicks won the fast break points 14-7. Ladies and gentlemen. The Orlando Magic, as far as three-point shooting, folks, they shot 45 threes. They made 12. They shot 26.7%. They shot themselves back into the game, and then they shot themselves out of the game. 45 threes in a summer league game, ladies and gentlemen. The Knicks shot 24 by comparison. All right, 76 shots put up for the Knicks. They made 40 of them. All right, they were 40 for 76 from the field, 7 for 24 from the three-point line. The Orlando Magic put up 86 shots, 10 more than the Knicks, but they made 6 less than the Knicks. They were 34 for 86 from the field, 12 for 45 from the three-point line. But the biggest thing that I take from this, ladies and gentlemen, is that the New York Knicks responded. Right? I think they were a little bit surprised and shocked with the Portland Trail Blazers. The Knicks came out and they came out and they tried to bum rush the Portland Trail Blazers, and it worked for the most part. And then the Portland Trail Blazers figured out what the Knicks were doing, understood how to handle that tough defense, and started to come back. And then when they came back, the Knicks couldn't handle the pressure from the Portland Trail Blazers. I thought tonight they learned from that game against Portland. They learned from it. When Orlando continued to come back, the Knicks continued to fight and steam forward. Right? They handled the pressure better. When Orlando started to pick up the defense, and that's what you want. That's what you want. You want the Knicks to learn. And they did that, ladies and gentlemen. They defeated the Orlando Magic tonight, again, 102-89, put themselves in a chance to win, or not to win, but to play in the Summer League Championship game. And we'll see if that actually takes place. We've been talking all Summer League about the guys that we're impressed with. Nothing's changed for me. I'm still impressed with what Quentin Grimes is doing. If he's not careful, he might play himself right into a trade with the way that he's playing. You know what I'm saying? And the improvement that he's showing out there. But I like what Quentin Grimes is doing. I like what Jericho Sims is doing. I still feel that Miles McBride has a ways to go. You know what I'm saying? And, being able to take his man up the dribble and those type of things. But I like the way he played tonight because he shot the ball really, really well. And when his shot is going, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough when his shot is going. Let me welcome Steph into the building. Steph?
It was a good game to watch. And I like the fact that they were challenged. Orlando came back, and the Knicks were able to respond. I liked what I saw from McBride. He got into the key, finished at the rim, had a few mid-range shots in the key. I was impressed with that. This Montero hit a few, 3-point shots. I was impressed with him.
Mm-hmm.
Grimes, I said, Ron, I don't think he's inconsistent, but yeah, he'll give you 2 really good, clean 3-point, and then the next one he chipped the side of the backboard. I'm like, what's going
Right.
on? But overall, him putting the ball on the floor, being able to create his own shot, get to the basket, I was really impressed with that.
Yeah.
And Sims, of course, doing Sims thing, like you said earlier.
Yeah. Ron, what about you, man? Anybody new that you're impressed with?
Well, I ain't gonna lie to you. I didn't get really dig into the game and see what was going on. I was doing the NBA report while it was going on, so I was trying to look out the corner of my eye. I saw that there was moments where it looked like Deuce. That's what's interesting. That's how you know when guys are balling. When you don't really know what's happening and you just looking from the corner of your eye, you keep seeing Deuce scoring or doing something.
Right.
I could tell Deuce was having a good game.
Right.
I could also see DeQuan Jeffries looked like he had a couple good moments. I think I saw him hit back-to-back threes. I don't know what he finished with, if he actually had a good game. But it looked like they were doing some things that were good. I felt like the way Montero was moving out there, it looked like he was playing pretty good. I did not see much from Grimes. So I was kind of surprised when I saw the score, the box score, and I saw that he had 22 points. So I think that the good thing you take from this is what I did see. They got out to a nice, quick 11-point lead. What we've noticed from the last game is that the team got back into it. It became a real basketball game. The Knicks held them off and kind of went back and forth with them, but they maintained the lead for most of the game. And then they finally started to pull away in the fourth, which is good. That's a nice adjustment from the last game. And I like the fact that, hey, they got a chance to be in the championship round for this whole thing, and they came to play. Like, they took their lumps and they got it done.
Yeah. So what do you want to see, just talking about, the championship, their ability, they're going to have a chance to play in the championship, right? Obviously, we want to see them win it, but, it's only going to be one game. So it's not like they're going to go through an entire playoff series or have to go through a playoff bracket. It's going to be one game if they make it into the championship. I know we want to see them win, but, how do you want to see them play? Because the intensity is going to pick up. So what would you be looking for from that game?
Well, this is one of those things where it's like what we've said about RJ. And it was one of the things that you guys and I give you guys credit, Steph and Sim and Tony. It was one of those things that you wanted to see from RJ, right? Because my whole thing is I've been big on the youth movement. I want to see these guys play. I want them to get time. I want them to grow. But then the flip side of that coin is if you play too much of the youth that's inexperienced, you don't necessarily put yourself in the best winning situations or, best opportunities to win. So how can these young players really grow? And so that was one of the things you guys were talking about with regards to RJ. If RJ's on a team where the talent is better and he's in more winning situations, he can, see how he acts in those situations and he can get better and learn from it.
Right.
In this case, that would be the same thing I would want to say with the summer league guys, with like Grimes and Deuce. Like, you got this opportunity, you got a chance to play for the championship. It's not just about the intensity. It's about making smart decisions. It's about when you know that the other team is trying to, come after it, how you level off and contain them and get a nice, easy bucket. The point is not to hit threes. The point is to keep scoring. If you're getting in a little bit of a low, let's get some quality twos, some underneath in the basket, something in the paint, get to the free throw line. I want to see how they react to those situations and if they can score like when the adversity is there. It's not because I know they're going to show intensity. They've shown intensity every game. The defense has come out. It's been firing. Of course, it doesn't always stay at that same level, but they've been coming out good. I just want to see how they get throughout the game in certain moments.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. Steph, anything that you would really like to see as far as their gameplay?
I agree with Ron. Executing, like he said, the energy is going to be there, but just executing. I mean, I know it's only been 4 games, but they've played together a lot. Whatever that lineup is, it's the same lineup game in and game out. So just cut down on the turnovers and things of that sort. Obviously, they're going to play with intensity, execute better. Try to finish at the rim. I know Kills. That was the other guy. Sam. I thought played better today.
Yeah.
I thought Kills played better today, but he's finding out it's not easy to finish at the rim.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, he's finding that out.
Yeah.
This has to be a good feeling, man. Coming out of the 3-1, even if they don't win the championship. You know what I mean? A good feeling, to say, hey, we came in here with a goal and we accomplished, even if they only make it to the final, we accomplished that goal. You know what I'm saying? It always feels good to be able to accomplish your goals. Quentin Grimes said that he wanted to come in and dominate. And, he's played very, very well, close to dominating. You know what I mean? Miles McBride has played well. So it has to be. You see, Tom Thibodeau was over there smiling, cheesing, laughing. You know what I'm saying? So it has to be a good feeling. And then, if the Knicks are playing well and they feel like they might have a chance to get Donovan Mitchell, they're probably feeling really, really good.
Right.
You know what I mean? On the Donovan Mitchell front, because I don't know how much more there is to really, talk about the summer league thing. We'll circle back around to it. But on the Donovan Mitchell front, I was reading an article by Ian Begley, and I think the article came out about 3:18 today, right? And it says this. I'm just going to read the article, and I'll put the link in the chat so that you all can, check out the article for yourself. It says New York and Utah spoke about a deal earlier this week prior to the Knicks formally announcing their free agent signings, per SNY sources. The Jazz and Knicks talked about a package that would have included Mitchell Robinson and at least 3 first-round picks, per SNY sources. Utah had interest in Robinson. Robinson has since finalized his contract with the Knicks and cannot be traded until December the 15th. So my question to you is this. I don't know what else would have been included in that package, right? But how will you feel if it comes out later that the Utah Jazz were interested in, well, I mean, we know that they were interested in Mitchell Robinson, and the Knicks could have moved Mitchell Robinson, 3 first-round picks, and then maybe another young player, or Evan Fournier or something like that, and the Knicks balked at it because they wanted to keep Mitch. How would you feel about that? Go ahead, Ron. I'll start with you.
I would not have been happy with that at all. No, I would not have been happy at all, because you know what? I just don't. Then you start to make me think, because what would you be doing with the Knicks? Like, we're talking of, like, as much as I was hearing the going back and forth earlier with Mark and Isaiah about Big Bubba saying he don't like the small backcourt and all that.
Right.
Let me tell you something. They trade Mitchell for Donovan, and then we don't have a rim protector. Oh no, that don't work for me, my friend. No, I can't. I wouldn't do that one. That would look crazy. That's me saying the Knicks they saw the opportunity and they panicked. And that would go to the point, because there's been instances where people have thought, by the way, not if we know it's right or not, but by the way Leon might have done stuff in the past, that it looks like the Knicks may have panicked in the past. If he would have done that, everybody would have been like, oh no, this guy, he ain't got the pulse, because he put his finger on the button and just press it no matter what you put out there. So I definitely like the fact that he can't do that, and we're stuck trying to figure out another way. But I am a little worried, because I don't want to get sidetracked. I answered your question, but I am a little worried that the more time that goes by, Pat Riley and Miami Heat, we don't know what they could do.
Of course. So you feel confident that in these dealings, he's remaining conscious of the team and saying, we want to bring him into a situation where we're still going to be a competitive team, a good team. So you feel good about that.
Right.
Okay.
And I like the fact that, if that was the case, then that shows me something else from Leon. Then that tells me Leon said, you know what? I know Utah is interested in Mitchell. Mitchell Robinson, should I say it that way? They're interested in Robinson. But no, we need Robinson. He's our player. We're going to sign him, and we'll figure out another way to make it work, or it's not going to work. I like that. I think that shows me something, that you're not just going to do whatever Danny Ainge wants just to get the deal done.
Okay. You don't feel like you could find another rim protector out there anywhere? If you had moved Mitchell Robinson in that trade, you don't feel like you would have been able to find, because if that trade goes down, the Knicks are still going to make some moves this offseason if that trade goes down.
True. I mean, would we be able to find another rim protector? Yes. Would we be able to find another rim protector who might possibly be working on his game and improving on the offensive end and still be one of the top big men in the league on offensive boards? I don't know. Because I still feel like, as much as Mitchell Robinson has a lot of deficiencies that he still needs to work on, and he doesn't give us certain things, I feel we got him for a fairly good price for what he does bring and what he could do. So, I mean, there's still a chance that he could be a bargain in the next year or two if he starts to work on his game and implement a couple different things. We might be like, yo, man, that Mitchell Robinson contract was a great deal.
Okay. How do you feel about it, Steph, if that were to come out?
I mean, initially, I agree with Ron about needing that rim protection if you're going to have two small guards. But then, Sim, you brought up a good point. We couldn't find a rim protector somewhere else. So when you put it that way, yeah, I think I would have did it, and I would have just made it my priority to make sure that we signed a rim protector.
Or traded for
behind
one,
them, or traded for one, because
something.
we definitely need one with those two guys.
Right. Yeah, you need one. I don't know how much Hartenstein could actually be a rim protector in that aspect.
Right.
I know his, I think he averages 1 block a game, but that's in 18 minutes a game. If that went up to 26, 27, he might be at somewhere around 1.5, 2 blocks a game.
Yeah.
I don't know. He doesn't have the athleticism that Mitch has, though. He obviously doesn't have that.
And he's not the number 2 rebounder in all of the NBA either.
You mean offensive rebound? Offensive rebound.
We get Spider, though. We good offensively.
The other thing is that, it is, you can find another rim protector. It's true. Right. But even with Hartenstein, he does what he does in a limited amount of minutes, and maybe with more minutes, he can double that, or maybe, do even more. But he also gets in foul trouble. That's still something he hasn't solved. He needs
Okay.
to work on and try to stay out of foul trouble, because that's important. The other thing is, we can't, even as much as Sims looks great right now, Sims is still doing it against summer league competition.
Yeah,
We got to see how. Yeah, no, I'm
I
just saying,
forgot about
because some
Sims.
people
Yeah,
are
yeah.
like, Sims, you could just throw Sims right in there. Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Okay. Now I agree. I agree. You know, he still has some, you know, he still has seasoning to do. I mean, some people might argue, you know, Mitchell Robinson has the same amount of seasoning to go as Jericho
Right,
Sims.
right.
Because he
8
can
and
block
8,
shots.
8 and 8. From
It's
all
just
of that, 8 points, 8 rebounds.
I know, you're right.
right.
Oh,
It's
and
just
that
that
was
he
my
can
other
block
point.
shots.
I
You know
almost
what I mean?
forgot. I remember now. Yeah, the other point was, if that's the case, then it kind of makes you look a little. I mean, I know you had to do certain things to put yourself in a better position to make a trade,
Right.
but if that's the case, and it's like foreshadowing. So I don't know. Why would you do all that? You had Jalen Duren sitting there, and then you get rid of him. Like, I don't.
He wouldn't have worked though if
But-
you bring in there, because he's a few years away.
He's
Yeah.
very raw. Yeah, I know.
And if you, I guess the thing is, do you get all of these draft picks if you don't make that trade?
Mm-hmm.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And do you have enough draft picks, you know, to at least be in the conversation for Donovan Mitchell?
Right.
You know,
Right.
and
Good
I
point.
think that ends up being, you know, kind of the bottom line for them, you know, because clearly they've been talking to the Utah Jazz for weeks, you know, about Donovan Mitchell, and knew exactly what they wanted. Now, you know, can they get it done? Who knows? There are people who are getting nervous about it.
Mhm.
You know, I think Kevin Bergen in the chat say, you know, he's starting to get the feeling like it's not going to get done, or something like that. We'll see.
Or Miami's gonna swoop in.
Miami's going to swoop in. You know what I mean? The article also says that in earlier talks, Utah had expressed interest in a package that included Quentin Grimes. He says, I don't know if the Knicks changed their thinking, but I know members of the organization felt Utah was asking for too much at the time. On Grimes, specifically, the organization values the second-year guard, and top decision makers had been unwilling to move him in previous trade talks, including in the Cam Reddish trade. I can understand that. Also, as of Tuesday evening, sources familiar with the dynamic said the Knicks and Jazz were not close to making a deal. The Athletic reported on Tuesday night that the Knicks and Jazz had been in touch on a deal within the previous 24 hours, and said Grimes is believed to be of interest to the Jazz. Teams in touch with the Jazz earlier in the week came away with the impression that Utah prioritized acquiring draft capital in any deal for Donovan Mitchell. And then, of course, it goes on to say the Knicks have 8 future first-round draft picks. And it goes on to say that the Miami Heat and the Brooklyn Nets are also interested in Donovan Mitchell. So, like, as things stand right now, and I know some people after last night's tweet from Shams were, you know, kind of in the mindset that, hey, we want this thing to happen today. It needs to happen right now. You know, how does it make you feel about the whole Donovan Mitchell thing? You know, does it make you feel maybe it might not get done, or you know, how you feeling about it? Steph, I'll start with you.
I think it gets done. You know, I saw something right before we came on, maybe a few hours ago, that about what they were asking for, 6 draft picks and 4 players or whatever. And the Knicks turned it down, but that they were going to make a significant counter offer.
Yeah.
So I think it gets done. I think there's a lot of posturing. I
Mhm.
think, you know, Utah saying other teams are involved, so New York don't, you know, so that they can have leverage, and New York not believe that they're the only team in town. I think it gets done.
Yeah. I feel like it probably gets done too. You know what I mean? And part of the reason why is I think they probably had a conversation with Donovan Mitchell and his team and said, you know, what would you like to do? You know, and he probably said, if you're going to trade me any place, I want to go to New York. It may not be out there, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you know, he's probably been like, you know, I'm not going to go out and request a trade. I'm not going to, you know, put stuff out to the media. Let's just have this conversation, because you know they had a conversation. If they're considering trading him, you know they had that conversation with him like, hey, we might make this move.
Right.
Or they had the conversation to say, do you still want to be here? Those conversations have been had, and I think out of respect, they're probably asking him. They probably asked him, where would you like to go? He probably, I'm thinking, said the Knicks. And since the Knicks have what they want, the conversations are between those two teams. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it probably happened that way. I do want to apologize to everyone. I'm not able to get the super chats up on the screen because I went into the wrong studio instead of the correct studio, right? So I went into the studio, the Knicks versus the Blazers, when I should have been in the Knicks versus Orlando Magic studio. So I apologize for that, ladies and gentlemen. But Kevin said, nah. He said he's not worried about Miami, and he thinks we made an offer and not backing down from that offer. So excuse me for saying that wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Kareem Jones, and talking about Mitchell Robinson, he said Miles Turner would be a great fit. I think talking about if the Knicks would have traded Mitchell Robinson, you know, for Donovan Mitchell, or if Mitchell Robinson was included in that trade. Thank you for the super chat, Kareem Jones. And then John Kim said, hope Randall is going to Utah. He doesn't play defense and he hogs the ball. And I don't see Spider and Brunson gelling well with Randall. Well, I got news for you. I don't think they're taking back Julius Randle. You know what I mean? They're not taking back that contract. They're going to be trying to get smaller contracts out there. And Julius Randle's on a long contract. So, you know, I don't think that's happening. You know, just that. I don't think that's happening. They're not taking back Julius Randle. What do you think about the offer that, or not the offer, but it's been written that they wanted, the Utah Jazz wanted 5 or 6 first-round draft picks, Quentin Grimes, Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickley, and Miles McBride. I think that's like the offer or what they said to the Knicks, and then the Knicks responded back. I mean, do you think, like you said, Steph, that's just posturing like, hey, we're going to go high,
Right.
and then you're going to have to negotiate us down? You think that's what it is?
I think so. But if they bring it down to 4 picks, Sam, I think I might do it.
Well, so all of those guys, you're saying all of those guys away? Because that's our entire bench. That's Quickley, Obi, Grimes. We don't have no bench.
McBride is out of the rotation. Wasn't in the rotation.
Wasn't in the rotation.
I would say.
So, yeah.
Listen, I think if you're gonna get Spider and Brunson, you're gonna have to upgrade your bench anyway to more veteran players.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think you can keep maybe 1 or 2, but you remember you got RJ and Mitch. They're young. You know, maybe you keep another 1 or 2. I don't think you can back them up with 4 young players.
Yeah.
So I think you would have to go out and remember. If you look at that starting lineup, Sam, it's not a lot of minutes behind them.
Right.
It's not a lot of minutes behind Brunson, not a lot of minutes behind Donovan.
Mm-hmm.
Obi and IQ's contract is coming up. You're going to pay them to play 16 minutes behind Randall and Donovan Mitchell?
Essentially, what would be happening is if you let go of those 4 players and you bring in Donovan Mitchell, I'm starting to feel like it might not be all 4, but 3 of them might go, right? But let's just say Cam Reddish wasn't in that list.
Fournier either.
Fournier wasn't in that list. So you'd be talking about off the bench Derrick Rose, Evan Fournier, Cam Reddish. You got Hartenstein still.
Mm-hmm.
You got Jericho Sims. And you'll probably bring back some players from Utah. Maybe. maybe you bring back a Patrick Beverly. You know what I'm saying? If that happens, they find a way to make the salaries work or whatever it is, and you bring back a Patrick Beverly. How would you feel about that if you had Derrick Rose, Evan Fournier, Cam Reddish, Hartenstein, and Sims? That's your bench. How would you feel about that bench?
I think you got to go out and you got to get Melo to play behind Randall.
I'm with
We're
that.
talking 12 minutes, 15 minutes.
Okay.
Sims situational.
I could do that. I could do that. So then if you're talking about Rose, Fournier, Melo, Reddish, and Hartenstein, how you feeling about that bench?
Defensively, not that great. Defensively, not that great.
Yeah, I'm with that. Defensively, that's tough.
There's still work to do for sure. Yeah,
that's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll have some people who know how to play.
Right.
They know how to play, but yeah, defensively, we might be in trouble. Ron, how would you feel about that lineup coming off the bench?
What would Mark say right now? That is trash.
Mark would be jumping out the window right now.
Like, I don't know about that one. Yeah, you couldn't. I wouldn't do it because I wouldn't want to be stuck. It's one thing if everybody's healthy, but then you got the instance where you stuck having Rose. Cam Reddish don't stay healthy either.
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't do that. I gotta keep some of them young guys.
But we can go out and we can. I don't even know.
Because remember,
able to make other trades or
that the Knicks currently, if you look at their money, they don't got a lot of money to play around with. So if they made that move, and it's not necessarily dollar for dollar, but it's got to be in the range. It's not like they're going to be coming out with a lot of money left after to make moves. So they're going to be a little cap strap.
Right. They'll be able to do veteran minimum contracts. They may have a mid-level exception or something like that. I did see, and I forgot about this, Shashamone, international official, said Beverly cannot be traded at the moment. And I forgot about that. Yeah, he can't be traded at the moment. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
They gotta take back Fournier or somebody like that. And
it'll have to be something like that. And that's the thing. I do feel like Leon Rose and those guys are very careful, very smart in the way that they're trying to build the team, or at least careful. Let me say that. I think smart too, but careful in the way that they're trying to build a team, and they don't want to leave the cupboard bare.
Right.
I agree. They don't want to leave the cupboard bare, and they don't want to be, an old team either. I think they still want to be a young team that can, that's going to have future ahead of them. Right now, if you look at that, the starting five would be very young, right? Jalen Brunson, not very young, but Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. Randle at 27 years old would be the oldest in that group. But then on the bench, you'd have an old group. Derrick Rose, 34, Melo, 37, 38. At the time, Evan Fournier right now is 29, but then he'd be 30, right? Hartenstein is 24 or 25 or whatever it is. And then, then you'd have your guys like Jericho Sims and that, whoever else is situational who would probably be young. But yeah, you would definitely increase your age limit, or not age limit, but increase the age of your team. Where right now the Knicks are a very, very young team. You would instantly become an older team. Not as old as the Lakers, but, pretty old team.
Yeah, and I don't think that's the way to build it.
No, I don't
because
either.
We've seen it. Well, shout out to my man John, still Knicks fans. If you haven't checked out the NBA report, please do. on the NBA report, we talked about the Carmelo Anthony trade, just so people could put it in perspective and see that it wasn't as bad as we once thought it was. But also, we talked about the fact that part of the big problem with that wasn't necessarily the trade or even some of the pieces we gave up to acquire some flexibility to make the trade. It was how we built around Melo after.
Right.
And, we went all in for it, but we put a whole bunch of veteran guys around Melo, and we probably should have had a little bit more of a mix of some young, professional talent, not rookies, but, and that would have helped us have some sustainability so that Melo's 7 years with us wouldn't have been, wasted, if you want to say that.
And I think one of the differences between then and now is that back then, the Knicks didn't collect a bunch of draft picks before they traded for Melo. Right? They didn't. This time, Leon Rose and those guys collected draft picks so that they could give up a lot of draft picks and, give up draft picks in lieu of players so that they still had young players and then still have draft picks that they could use later on. You know what I'm saying? The Knicks didn't really do that. And then when they did give up a draft pick for a player, they did it for the wrong guy in Andrea Bargnani. You know what I'm saying? They gave up a first-round draft pick for him. This regime is much smarter and just more shrewd, And so I believe in them a little bit more, and what they will.
And shout out. I was just gonna say shout out to James Dolan for letting these guys do what they need to do.
Yeah.
Because at that time he was all over Donnie Walsh's neck. So,
Right. And I will say this. Knowing that they can almost get Donovan Mitchell, he's probably like Leon.
Right.
What's up?
I ain't gonna say nothing publicly, but I'm letting you know.
Right. I mean,
Exactly. Like, yeah, hey, what's up, man? This guy will be good for everything. Good for the team, good for the seats, good for merchandise. Yeah, let's make something happen, man. You know what I'm saying? So he's trying.
He's probably like, Leon, did you know he's a Met fan? He's a Met fan.
Right. Yeah, man. So I agree with you though, Ron. I would like for it to get done sooner than later. You know what I mean? Because the longer it takes, the more people have a chance to work the phones, accumulate draft picks. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, Miami got 8 draft picks. Brooklyn got 8 draft picks. And all these people got 8 draft picks. You know what I'm saying? So I would like to see it get done sooner than later as well.
And you could easily see somebody like, Pat Riley figuring out a way to get OKC involved.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
Let's give them Tyler Hero. They could use Tyler Hero over there. He's too slick, man. I know some people are like, who cares? Listen, you don't sleep on Pat Riley.
Right.
You don't. You don't sleep on Pat. And I guess this is really going to be it's going to depend on who the Knicks have left if the trade goes down. But what is going to be your first move if Donovan Mitchell is acquired by the Knicks? What's your first move, Steph?
Depends on who goes. We might need a backup point guard. If Rose and Quickly go, we might need a backup point guard. If Cam goes, we might need a backup small forward.
Yeah.
So the Knicks have to be ready to make some moves now before the start of season, not just playing out this roster and seeing what they need. They're going to have some needs going into this season.
Right.
And I think also shooting has to be a priority.
Oh.
When you look at the potential starting lineup, it's not a lot of surefire shooting.
Right.
There's a difference between this one can hit the three and having somebody that can hit it consistently.
Yeah. Right.
And we don't have that in that start. And they shoot okay. Some of them shoot okay, 36%, 37%, but
yeah. Especially if Fournier's in that trade, right? Because he's the Knicks.
Yeah.
He's the most the knockdown shooter on the team. If Fournier's in that trade, the Knicks are gonna have to go out and find shooting from somewhere. I don't even know who's left on the free agent list. who else is available. It seems like
Mhm.
everything is stopped, and maybe it's because of Kevin Durant and now Donovan Mitchell. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
things have kind of stopped. Let's see what happens with these guys. Let's see what players get waived. You know what I mean? Things like
Mhm.
that. So let's see what happens, and then things will pick back up. The one thing that did happen though is DeAndre Ayton, and this could
Mhm.
impact the Knicks in some way. Well, I guess it can't now. It could have if the Knicks would have included Mitchell Robinson in that trade with the Utah Jazz, but I guess it just wouldn't happen now. But DeAndre Ayton signed an offer sheet from the Indiana Pacers, but then the Phoenix Suns, I guess, matched it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right?
It seemed like within 5 minutes of the news coming out.
Yeah. So he'll be, if they matched it, I guess he's going back to Phoenix, and that's surprising because everybody believed that it wasn't going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So, or unless they matched it and they planning on doing a sign and trade.
They got to keep him for a year now.
Yeah, they can't. They can't. They got to keep it for a year.
Once you
Mhm.
match it, you got to keep it for a year. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess that's surprising to me with all the talk that it wasn't going to work out. So he's going back to Phoenix. That's surprising.
So dysfunctional, bro. I don't know what that is.
Right.
Man.
Right.
Yeah, and who was it the other day? Somebody the other day was saying, maybe it was State. He was saying that players make a good culture. And when I was trying to explain, like, you can have a good culture and still lose. You can have a bad culture and still win, and eventually it'll boil to the top, but it can happen. And I think it's showing, like, right in Phoenix. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The culture might not be as strong, but they're still winning basketball games because they have talent. You know what I mean? But the culture may not be as strong. It might be a little bit dysfunctional over there. Ron, what do you think is, if the Knicks do acquire Donovan Mitchell, is the first thing they've got to do?
Um, eh, listen. First thing I'm doing is I'm signing Bo. I'm getting Bo in here. We saw what he did in the hustle. You know, but in all fairness, I'm actually slightly serious. Juancho Hernan Gomez is a free agent. He's 26 years old. The dude can shoot. We
He can
had
shoot.
the
He
other
can
Hernan
shoot.
Gomez, Billy,
Right.
but Billy
Right.
couldn't shoot. His
Right.
brother could shoot, and he could play a little defense. I'm just saying, if you can get him on the veteran minimum, you might have to look at it. He's a tall guy. He can stretch the floor.
Okay.
We've seen him in the hustle.
Yeah.
But in real life,
see.
he's not a bad player. He's pretty decent. Good. He could be a decent role player for you.
Okay.
I would take a quick look at Josh Jackson. See if we could bring him in. Knicks are gonna need, if that trade would happen, most likely the Knicks are gonna have to fill 4 spots because we already have 2 spots we got to fill now.
Right.
And if we make that trade, I think we'd probably have 2 extra spots we'd have to fill. That's 4 players.
Right.
So I would think you want to try to at least bring in 2 more defensive type players, whether it be a wing and I don't know, some other position that plays defense. And in the Knicks case, you make that trade, I guess you got to bring in a guard of some sort that can play defense. And then maybe I would bring in a guy like Juancho Hernan Gomez because I know he can shoot a little bit and stretch the floor. Because the Knicks, that's one thing. Their shooting is going to be a little bit questionable. They'll have scorers like outside of Donovan. Donovan's actually a pretty good shooter from outside, but they'll have some issues they're going to have to figure out.
Yeah, and I'm going to want the Knicks to bring in maybe another vet, and maybe that's Melo, but
Yeah.
I feel like Taj Gibson is a big loss.
Mhm.
Derrick Rose isn't really vocal. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's gonna do what he does on the court, but he's not gonna be vocal. And I don't even know how much Taj was that vocal, but I think we need a strong veteran on the team. I don't know where we get that person from, and maybe it is Melo. However things play out, but I think the Knicks are gonna need that strong vet.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
I agree.
because we're gonna be really, really young. Yeah.
Yeah. With Pat Beverly, he can't go in this trade, but you could trade for him by himself.
Oh, okay.
He can't
Okay.
go in a package.
Right. But you can do okay, so you can do a separate trade.
Right.
Right. Ah, yeah. I mean, like he would be the kind of vet that I'm talking about
Oh
too.
my gosh, Sam, if we could do that.
He would be the kind of vet that I'm talking about. I would like that.
Yeah.
I would like that. He would bring the
That
kind of
would
vet.
be interesting.
That would
And,
be.
and I was
That would
going to
be.
say, Big Bubba, man, listen, Josh Jackson may look like a bust. He's not what he was supposed to be coming into the NBA. I don't even really like Josh Jackson's game, but the guy plays defense. And on the Knicks team, we're trying to, continue to have that defensive identity. You got roster spots. Josh Jackson shouldn't cost you much, and you know what he does. He plays defense.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, no doubt about it. Sham said that he expects this to play out over 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, I don't know if I could take that.
2 or 3 weeks, man. You're gonna have Knicks fans going crazy, losing their mind. Going crazy. I hope it doesn't last that long. I don't want it to last that long either. Yeah.
Yeah, that's if we got Pat Bev though, would y'all feel more comfortable with IQ being in the trade, or you guys still think he would be a good 6-man?
I mean, I would be more comfortable without a doubt. I'd be more comfortable. I'd still feel like we was, losing a guy that is a good future, Vinny microwave oven type of guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd feel like we were losing that, but I know what we would be gaining in Patrick Beverly.
Right.
You know, because
I mean, it would
do.
be great to get Patrick Beverly in here, though.
Yeah, it would. It would be really good. And the more that things go on, they might really, really like Quickly and Quentin Grimes. They might really, really want those two guys. And, I guess we'll see how it works out. There's going to be some, it could be a lengthy negotiation between Leon Rose and Danny Ainge. And I'm sure those two guys know each other well, right? Plenty. I don't know who, but I'm sure there's been plenty of players that came through CAA, came through Leon Rose that Danny Ainge either signed or traded for or whatever. So I'm sure he knows they know each other well, and they know how each other works. So we'll see where it goes from there, man. See where it goes.
Yeah, Sim, what would be interesting is, and I don't know, I don't even know what I'm saying because I know how people are going to react. If they traded for Donovan, right, and the trade was somewhat manageable, we didn't give up a lot of our assets. Maybe we gave up a lot of picks, maybe 5 picks or something like that. And we did something where it was like a Fournier, Rose, maybe Grimes in there too. But we kept a lot of our other young talent. Would you guys think about possibly still moving more of that talent, maybe a Cam Reddish and someone else for OG Anunoby?
Oh
Yes, I would, without a doubt.
absolutely.
But would OG be coming off the bench?
Yeah, he would have to.
He would have to, I guess. But
I don't see
he
where
would be. He could be in line for 6-man of the year type role. Give him that type of role.
Would he be happy with coming off the bench?
Yeah.
I don't
he
know
just
much
wants to
about him,
play.
but I don't know much about him and how he would feel about something like that. But just asking, because he might feel like he's better than RJ Barrett. Be like, I should start over RJ Barrett, but it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, well, that's where practice comes into play.
Yeah,
Get a couple lumps against RJ in practice every day and look at his work ethic. Then you can say if you're better than him or not.
Yeah.
I mean, defensively, he might be better than him naturally. But offensively, RJ might have a little bit of an edge.
But I would definitely consider doing that. You know what I mean? And like we say, you get the talent in and then you figure it out. You figure it out. Yeah.
And I'm only saying this, guys, because I don't know what Cam Reddish is yet for the Knicks. We don't know. Maybe we'll find out if he stays here, but I don't know yet.
Yeah.
And we got to start thinking, and I'm sure the front office already has, thinking about the money. Cam Reddish is up for a contract. The year after that, Obi and IQ are up for
Yeah,
contracts.
exactly. Yeah. So a lot for them to think about. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna be up until 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. If anything happens, I'll jump on at that time. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's for 5 minutes, I'll jump on. I don't think anything's gonna happen tonight, but if by chance it does, hey, last night at midnight, Shams, he tweeted that, and then everybody was up till 3 o'clock in the morning, waiting to see if something else is gonna happen. You know what I mean? But it's a waiting game. We gotta wait. Steph, any last thing you want to say before we get out of here?
The front office has been waiting for this moment. They've been stockpiling assets and developing the young guys, for this moment, put it that way. And, if you don't get it done, don't let it be because you didn't want to give up a draft pick or a rotation player.
Yeah. Ron?
I would just say, let's just be patient and hope that the front office continues. They're on a hot streak right now. Say what you will.
Yeah,
they had us questioning some stuff in that draft, but in the end, we can see that they stood. This is part of their plan, and they looked like they stood true to that plan, and it's so far so good. I think it's working out fine. So I'm gonna have faith in them and continue to believe that they know what they're doing and can get something done. So let's just hopefully, let's just hope that it does happen in the near future. I know some people aren't ready for the change. People hate change, but sometimes you got to let things happen. I would much rather have the talent and then change my direction a little bit and figure out how I need to fix my roster to accommodate that talent rather than not have the chance to get the talent. Like Donovan Mitchell is a supreme talent. And if we get him, one, we don't know how much better he can be with the Knicks. Two, we don't know how much better he's going to make the guys we already got here. Like how much better is a Donovan and a Jalen going to make RJ?
Right.
Yeah.
How much easier are they going to make it for Randall?
Yeah. No
So
doubt.
let me ask you both real quick before I go. You can, a quick answer. If the Knicks are able to keep RJ, Randall, obviously Mitchell Robinson, Jalen Brunson are staying, and you're able to put that five together on the floor: Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. Is that the best lineup? Do you think that's the most talented lineup that Donovan Mitchell has played with?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think it is.
Yeah. Most talented overall lineup that he's played with.
Yeah, I think it would be. And then it would be, and they won in a stacked Western Conference. They were able to win 50 games a year with a lesser lineup, I think. And if the Knicks can figure out that bench, after the trade, they could be looking good for a couple of years. They're still gonna have to make moves to get over the top, but they'll really be building something. So.
And it might be a better way to go about it. We focused on putting together, or at least they focused on putting together an all-around team with a solid bench. The bench wound up being a little bit more productive than the starters on a lot of occasions. Go the Chicago Bulls route. Put together that solid starting five and then go from there. Say what you will about the Bulls. They faltered towards the end, but they had a really good season with that team. If they didn't have those injuries, who knows what would have happened, how far they would have got.
No doubt.
So it could work.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. I'll keep you updated on anything that happens. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be here. But for now, I'm going to head off and talk to you later. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When send past the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the